What's going on, guys? Hope you're well and safe and healthy. So, I thought I'd do a little YouTube video uh, on kind of a little, you know, talked about topic um, in trading, and that is profitability and consistency in the markets. And, oftentimes you'll see courses out there or even just free channels on YouTube where these courses are all pushing the same cookie cutter plan or strategy, and it really only involves technical analysis in terms of the information that you're paying for, or the information that they're providing. Almost always deals strictly with technical tools and strategies, but the issue with that is trading is more psychology and discipline and risk management than it is technical analysis. At the end of the day, if you want to be profitable, uh, you have to have good psychology and discipline, because anyone can perform technical analysis, right? Um, and so this video is the goal of this video is to kind of go into achieving consistency and profitability and give you some kind of tips to avoid the pitfalls, the traditional pitfalls of retail trading, and you know help you understand that most people, and you probably already do know this, is that most people fail. Most people lose money. They blow their accounts. They can't achieve consistency and profitability in the market. And so, you know, how do you do it? How do you do it? And the answer to that is, you have to stick to, you have to first and foremost establish rules. And you have to stick to those rules no matter what with 100% discipline. Otherwise, you will not achieve that long term growth and consistency. All right. So, you know, rules come down to a lot of things. It's in terms of what are your rules for entry, exit, trade management, risk management, right? So you have to, and we'll go kind of one by one, is you have to risk the exact same percentage or monetary amount, whichever you choose, every single trade, right? You can't go risking 1% on one trade and then 3% of your account on the next trade. What if the 1% was the winner and the 3% risk was the loser, right? So that would require you to win a lot more trades, to make back that loss you have. But if you're sticking to the exact same risk, then if you have risk to reward, if you have good risk to reward parameters, right, or good risk to reward rules for yourself, then you can achieve profitability on a longer term basis, right? And so one of the things we do is, we advertise on our Instagram. We, won't send out anything less than a 1 to 5 risk to reward. And we do that for a reason, right? Because at the end of the day, we can't control the markets. We don't know, uh, we don't really know where the market's going to go. We can use strategies and concepts to have an educated guess, right, and then take risk based off of that educated guess. But at the end of the day, it's a game of probabilities, right? And the risk to reward plays such a big role in that. And so if say you have minimum 1 to 5 risk to reward, that means you don't have to win every single trade. You don't even have to win 50% of your trades to be profitable in the market. And so, like, you can lose the majority of your trades, but when you win, you're winning so much more than when you lose. Okay, so I would recommend sticking to a set percentage. I would say no more than 3%, right? I would go 2% is fine, 1% is even better, but don't go higher than 3%, or stick to a monetary amount, right? So, let's say you have $1,000 account, and you initially want to risk three, maybe 3%, or you know, uh, contrary to that, you could do $30 risk, right, per trade, where I'm going to every single trade risk $30. If I lose, I lose $30. If I win, I'm winning a multiple of that 30, right? It just keeps it consistent, right? And the key to, I guess, our service is to take every single one of our trades, right? Because when we lose, which, obviously you can go on winning streaks or losing streaks, but when you lose, you're losing a set amount every time, right? You're losing small, and when you win, you're winning a lot more than when you lose, right? So over the longer term, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month, those big wins far outweigh your losses because your losses are small and your wins are big, right? And so you have to, take every single trade on the exact same risk percentage or monetary amount per trade, right? And you can't be, you can't be like, oh well, there's been 2 losses in a row. I'm not going to take the next trade, and then the next trade's the big 1 to 8, which we called it 1 to 8, 1 to 8.6 last week on USD CAD, right? So you have to just be disciplined and realize that it's a game of probability, right? And you have to use strict risk management every single trade, and realize that over the long term, even though you might win or lose, even though you might lose more trades, which obviously the goal is accuracy and consistency in the markets, but even if you somehow end up losing more trades or you get on a losing streak, you're still profitable, right? Because of that risk to reward factor and the fact that you're using strict risk management. Okay, so that's really what we recommend in terms of kind of risk management and implementing that into the trade ideas that we send out. In terms of kind of account or trade management, once you're in the trade, a personal rule of mine is to, once I achieve a 1 to 2, and in some cases even a 1 to 1 risk to reward in my trade, right? So I'm floating in profit the amount that I would, let's say I'm risking $100 and I'm $100 in profit, or $200 in profit depending on the pair, I would move stop to break even, right? Because if I'm up a 1 to 1 or a 1 to 2 in a trade, there's no reason I should lose this trade if I'm up that much, right? And that's part of the the trade management rules that you have to have for yourself too. You never want to see a trade that you're in profit on hit your stop loss, right? And you actually lose money on the trade. And so I would recommend establishing that criteria for your trade management. Obviously, like I said, for me, it's a 1 to 1 or a 1 to 2, depending on the pair. And once that is achieved, I move stop to break even. And I seriously consider taking partial profits, right? Even at a 1 to 3, if you're not taking partial profits, then that's a problem, right? So it's just small things that make the biggest difference in trading. How many times have you been up a ton of money and then out of nowhere the market reverses on you and stops you out, right? Break even or a loss. So you have to protect yourself and you have to take partial profits because a dripping tap fills the bucket. So, in terms of partials, you could even be like, okay, target the most recent relevant equal highs or equal lows, or the most recent high or low, right? And when price breaks structure on a lower time frame, then you can consider taking partials at those equal highs or equal lows, all right, or at the most relevant high or low. Okay, so it's just these very small things that really add up. It's discipline. You have to stick to your rules, your parameters, your trading plan. And in terms of our service, take every single trade that we send out, because you never know which one is going to be that big home run, right? You lose small, you win big. And that is the key to success and profitability in the market. All right? So I hope you learned something. I really hope you take this knowledge and implement it into your plan. Remember, don't trade for today, trade for tomorrow. Just because a trade looks good does not mean you should way over leverage on that trade. right? It has, you can't control the market. You can only control your positioning, right? And so that's why it's so crucial to use, to stick to your rules and your risk management plan. All right. So I hope you learned something, and we will have some more videos out for you shortly. Thanks.